Mahui and then this gentleman. Mahui, please. Oh, you put your hand first. We go strictly by temporal sequence. Okay, Iskandar.
Hello,
Yes,
can you hear?
I'm here, Mahui.
Okay. First, I'd like to thank Dr. Chowri for a very illuminating presentation and reminding us of the future, because we don't think of climate change. We think it's something that's kind of far away, it doesn't affect us. So regarding sustainable development, I have two issues. One, I think a question. One, what do you think of government policies that try to encourage more private car use by reducing the price of car, reducing or increasing subsidies to petrol, and abolishment of road tolls? And these are some of the things that at federal government level, I think some parties are proposing. The second one is more, I think, local. I think Penang is at a crossroad, particularly over the last couple of weeks. There's a big debate on what direction should Penang take in terms of transportation issue. As the Chief Minister himself provided the statistics, there are 2.3 million vehicles, of which about 1.1 million is cars and the rest are motorbicycles. And the rate of the growth of these vehicles is around 10% per year. Our population growth is around 1.8% per year. Then the question becomes, I put to you, Dr. Chowri, what direction should we take? Is it basically to solve this problem by increasing the supply of roads and flyovers and bridges and tunnels at 10% a year to meet this insatiable demand for road usage, or to address the demand side, which is the demand for the private use, the use of roads by the private cars, and therefore to take, as you said, far-reaching and important measures that may not be politically acceptable, such as basically, as in many European cities, they're making it inconvenient rather than convenient for people to use cars, making higher parking charges, road charges and all that. Do you think a government can solve this transport problem by just tackling the supply side without tackling the demand side?
Thank you. And the second gentleman?
I'm Anil. I agree with
Sorry, what's your name? Kindly?
Anil Netto.
Anil Netto, the blogger. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Pachauri, for a most enlightening lecture. And just to follow on with what Mahui said, Penang is really at a crucial crossroads, and in terms of transport policy and congestion and all the rest of it. And we can really go two directions. One is to go by the highway-based option, and the other one is to improve public transport. But unfortunately, we are told that public transport is not a viable option because of political and vested interests from the federal government and all the rest of it. But is this something that cannot change, or is it something that can change with greater awareness? And in the meantime, do we go down the highway-based option, or should we create greater awareness by campaigning for change on public transport and going step by step along that road, rather than putting down the infrastructure, which will be harder to reverse? Thank you.
Iskandar from the Penang Development Corporation.
Dr. Rajendra Ji, it's an honor to be with you here today. My name is Iskandar Basha. I'm from the Penang Development Corporation. The future, as was painted, makes me a bit scared, most of our children and grandchildren. But nevertheless, there are some new changes that are happening. In particular, when you showed about renewable energy, you showed about solar as one of the major contributor for some of the potential future changes that could come about. However, the discovery of shale oil and shale gas, it is made a quantum change in terms of the outlook of energy. And as you would know very well, I too served in ExxonMobil for about 15 years. And you will know that a biggest portion of the investment for renewable energy comes from the oil and gas industry companies. They are the single biggest contributors. And then when I looked at the list of the companies that you have highlighted with regards to First Solar and all of them, you just take a look at the last 2 years, their share values has battered down by more than 90% because the sustainability of solar energy becomes a question mark. Now my question is, with the view of the fact that shale gas and shale oil, in particular shale gas being clean energy, going to make a huge contribution to the energy requirement, how would that impact your outlook and your views that you are promoting with regards to renewable and for sustainable development? Thank you.
Thank you. Well, let me first deal with the first two questions or comments that were made. In the transport sector, there are some very critical choices to be made. We have to contend with the fact that human society is madly in love with the private vehicle. Human beings feel that there's such a sense of freedom and mobility that you get by possessing a car that I don't think that's going to change. I mean, if we're realistic, and in a society where people's incomes are going up, cars are going to be purchased, cars are going to be used. But the point I'd like to make is that it is important also for society to look at the externalities that a total reliance on private vehicular transport system would place. I'll give you the example of the city of Zurich. It has such excellent public transport that even if you have a car in your home, you would only use it either in an emergency or when you want to go out for recreation somewhere. You don't use it during the course of the day. And whenever I go to that city, the moment I reach the airport, from then onwards, my company is with public transport. Now, this is where I think the point that was made is that it's people who have to express their views and their preferences. And maybe in the context of Penang, since the question was asked, maybe the Penang Institute could start a major debate on this issue. Because frankly, if you go back to what they used to say about General Motors, what's good for General Motors is good for America. Well, General Motors almost went bankrupt. And it was the government of the US that sort of bailed it out. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been good for GM or for America. Now, my fear is, I can say this about India, I don't know about Malaysia. My fear is that our automobile sector is also acquiring a huge amount of power. And therefore, they would probably stall other options. And this is where I think knowledge and an enlightened society can make a difference. If there was a debate, if people would say, look, we don't want more highways and more roads. Yes, we need some of those. But we would prefer the option of public transport, A, B, C, whatever those forms of public transport are. I'm afraid otherwise policies will not change. Policies will take the soft option. That's always the case. You sort of flow with the way everybody is going. And I am not qualified to talk about what's best for Penang. I think this is something that the people of Penang have to articulate and debate. And maybe an institute like the Penang Institute could be a catalyst in creating this kind of debate. This is what I would say. On the issue of shale gas and the fact that it's the oil companies that have been providing most of the investment, I would agree that in the initial phase, yes, it was the oil companies that were making most of the investments, but I think now it's getting diversified. You see several others getting into the renewable energy business. Now, this is also the result of some technological changes. And here, may I say that governments have an important role to fund research and development. Because after all, you're talking about something that may not be available, that may not give you returns in the short term, and therefore you don't expect the private sector to invest in R&D. But government, if it looks at the negative externalities of the current system, I believe has a responsibility to invest in research and development so that costs can be brought down, efficiencies can be improved, and then renewable energy would attract investments from a wide range of sources. As far as shale gas is concerned, yes, if it's going to substitute coal, then it's certainly going to reduce emissions of greenhouse gases, and therefore it's superior to the use of coal in that sense. But I think you can't wish away renewables. I think they're here to stay, they're here to grow, and I think if policies are designed with some degree of enlightenment, then renewables will grow much faster.